So this is a little bit of a different kind of video that I usually do, but I am sitting here, it's Saturday evening, and I briefly wanted to discuss where I started out. So currently I'm 27 years old, grew up here in Stockholm, Sweden, lived here all my life pretty much, except a small stop in Belgium for a few years. But anyways, I was kind of always interested in entrepreneurships and finance especially. And when I was a kid, I was quite introverted. I wasn't particularly good at school. However, I would say I was kind of smart, even though I wasn't good at school. And this was, looking back, I just wasn't interested in school, especially the things that I was studying as a kid, and especially also the kind of path that you get taught in the Swedish system, so to speak. But anyways, I digress. So when I was about, I would say in my late teens, I always thought I was an introvert and I was interested in finance. So I thought, oh, I should work in finance. I should either do like investment banking or some type of accounting job. But I also knew that I didn't have the top grades to get into investment banking. So basically, in order to get into investment banking, you obviously have to have the highest grades, but I didn't have that. So I was kind of had this realistic mindset of like, oh, maybe I should just study at some like more basic business school and become some type of accounting, some CFO type of professional. But then I actually discovered this thing called affiliate marketing and internet marketing at about 16 years old. I was just fascinated by it because of the like low startup cost, the massive amounts of or the very high profit margins if you do it right, and the scale and the sort of one-man show you can operate and effectively make effectively make a lot of money. But yeah, during my late secondary years at secondary education, I actually graduated and I actually started out in business school, and I was set for business administration and some type of finance career kind of. But then I was going to this university, and it was like terrible lessons at the beginning. It was like, I don't remember, but it was some type of lesson with like logistics, and it was another one with like writing, and the teachers were like, I didn't vibe with them at all. And so I bought this course and I took a huge leap in myself and tried to, yeah, basically start internet marketing. But I didn't have the proper mindset. I would say from the start, from the get-go, I didn't have the typical entrepreneurship mindset where I accepted like 10 losses and 1 success. I didn't have that. I was the one who had the employee mindset, the 15 years of schooling mindset, where you think that if you fail once, that's terrible, that's horrible, because then you get a bad grade and so on. So I had that mindset for like so many years. And I also had this perfectionist mindset, which really held me back. But essentially, I was trying a lot of stuff. I was trying this internet marketing stuff, Then this thing showed up in like 2017, which was like drop shipping with Shopify, which I was quite early with. But I essentially launched a product there. It was like a kind of success, but it quickly faded away. And I essentially ran out of money when I was testing a lot of products. But in hindsight now, I pretty much just gave up too quickly, to be honest. But later on, I jumped on this SMMA trend, and I kind of had the right. I kind of had the some type of good motivation, but I got into like a sort of health issue where I had to do some surgery, and that set me back about 1 year to 1.5 years. And so when I came back to the whole SMMA game in like the early 2019, moving into 2020, the market was just so much sophisticated. I remember back in like 2018 or 2017, you could send like, I don't know, 10 messages to like 10 dentists, and you would get like 1 or 2 meetings with them easily. But I tried the same thing like 1 year later or almost 2 years later, and it was just like, I also tried calling them, and then we're like, we get like 2-3 calls a day from the same guy as you, offering the same type of product, doing the same type of pitch. So that was during the time of like 2020. And now in hindsight, I was also listening kind of to the wrong guys. Like I remember like one tip that one of these guys that I was following gave me was that you shouldn't offer a proposal. You should just get them on a sales call and just pitch them, which is just terrible advice, like terrible. I probably lost out like 1 or 2 years of that, and like, yeah, just terrible advice. And also like this was during COVID, so like the whole like the whole marketing, like like the whole marketing sphere here in Sweden, and also just died out. It was dead for like 1 year, because I remember I had this before the pandemic. I had this like soul consulting gig. I was showing up to this office in Stockholm, and I was charging like maybe $20 or $30 an hour, and I was doing that at like 21 or 22, and like that might sound not like a lot of money, but for a person who is like 21 or 22 and lives in like student housing with his girlfriend, that's a lot of money. I could essentially just work like 50%, just like half time, and still make very good money, because my rent was so low. So I would essentially just like I would work like 4 hours a day, come home, and then just try to learn all the new SMMA tactics, and just improve my mindset, and just improve my entrepreneurial knowledge just in general when it came to sales and marketing. But interestingly enough, speaking of sales, so as I mentioned, I was very introverted when I was young, and this was also something I was fighting with when I was about in my early 20s. So like the idea of me going into entrepreneurship and doing sales and marketing, that was just not happening in my thoughts when I was in my late teens. because I was more kind of the finance guy who was into like finance numbers and so on, and understood that very well, and was also naturally interested in the stock markets and whatever, and also real estate investing, which I am still interested in. But the point is that what I wanted to make was that the pandemic came and I was fired from this consulting job, which I had landed at like 21 or 22 years old, making decent money, at least from my perspective. I was fired from that job on the spot when the COVID pandemic came. And I was essentially applying to like 10 marketing jobs each day for like 2 months here in Stockholm, Sweden. But that was in like January or February, but like I didn't get any response. So I had to take this temporary sales job working as a like semi-sleazy telemarketer. But looking back at it right now, like I am so happy for that, because it not only toughened my skin, it made my skin thicker dealing with those like endeavors, those like really hard endeavors and setbacks. But it also taught me to speak to like 100 people a day and like getting no's like 99% of the time, and just getting 1, 2, or 3 yeses per day. Like that teaches you so much about having faith in the process, and like getting confidence and toughen up yourself and getting thick-skinned and so on, just believing in yourself. But essentially I did that for like 2-3 months, and then it got to like September or October, and then all these marketing jobs where I had applied to during like 6, 7, 8 months previously, they all responded back like, hey, are you still interested? You applied for this job like 7, 8, 9 months ago. Are you still interested? So then I actually moved from this telemarketing job into a marketing agency job working as a performance marketer. I did that for a while. I pretty much sharpened my expertise, and I also got some confidence, because I saw that the same people who had been doing media buying for like 5 years, I was way better than them. I was just way better than them. So that obviously got my confidence like massively increased. Because like when you are alone as an entrepreneur, especially when you're starting out without any prior experience in your early 20s, you have a lot of self-doubt. You have so much self-doubt, but because you're comparing yourself to the very top gurus on YouTube, instead of like the mediocre employee at an agency who has worked like 10, 15 years. That's just my experience, at least. But I digress. So I got into a performance marketing media buying role, did that for a while, moved on to a second agency doing the same thing. Later on, I got into working in-house at a e-com store, and I later moved on as a digital marketing manager for a B2B tech company, a highly fast growing tech company. And so that is my background and my sort of path to where I am today. So I hope you enjoyed this type of video format, and that you enjoyed getting a little bit about a little info about myself. And make sure that you subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.